What position did you play?
Richard Tucker. I can't remember what positions I played.
Ron Yeager, a defensive back, an offensive back. I returned punts, returned kicks, kicking team.
Russell Brandis. I kind of floated around wherever.
Erwin Fritchie. I played in both ways. Kickoffs, punts. I did play the whole game.
John Trapp, quarterback. Harvey Shammer, played guard and defensive tackle. Donald Brickhouse, halfback and linebacker.
Clinton Detchen. I played left tackle and right defensive end, the defensive captain.
Name's Marvis Meyer, halfback and linebacker.
Donald Rissler, nose man and guard.
Roy Hartle, fullback, monster man on defense.
Rainey Taylor.
Dennis Weber, offensive guard, right defensive end, center, defensive linebacker, offensive right tackle, and defensive linebacker.
Jim Johnson. I played halfback, punted, returned kicks, and punts.
What made those teams so special back then?
I think Coach Smith had a whole lot to do with it. I mean, like I said, he could see talent and knew how to use it. He had a good, talented crew there.
You know, being from a small town, we were a close-knit group. I mean, everybody knew everybody, and they knew their brothers, they knew their families, and we didn't have any problems with any disagreements, really.
Oh, yeah.
We were all in for the same reason.
Yeah.
And whatever we had to do, do for the team, that's what we did.
Yeah.
There was a special breed of player back in those days. They were all coachable. Coach Smith knew how to coach. It was just fun to be a part of it.
The coaches knew what they were doing and what they wanted us to do, and we just were a good group of guys that wanted to play, wanted to win. We didn't weigh as much as anybody else did, and but we were faster. Coaching, somehow he got it in our heads that we were faster than they were, and when Coach King was a big part of that.
Probably dedication, that the guys had a lot of pride. There were some good athletes, up and down the line of scrimmage.
Well, I don't know, it was just a great group of guys. I guess we've been together for a long time. And we just knew what each other, everybody was doing. You look around this room, all of us seemed to be about the same size. We were small, but we were all tough. We worked. Probably harder than any team around here. And we all hit. We were known as the hitting team.
The work ethic, and well, to be honest, coaches were tough. And if you wanted to play, you got tough. But everybody was pretty much a farm boy. You hauled hay during the day and you played football on Friday night.
We just grew up together on the football field, and we just worked as a team, and it was amazing. Everybody knew what everybody else was going to do.
I think all of us had a dedication to do the best job we could. And we bought into the coach. So we do whatever we could, to please the coach.
I guess because we all worked together well, and everybody, I think, did their best. Coach helped us out he did a great job, teach us the right way, and everybody was real excited about working. In fact, I even enjoyed practice. Can you imagine that?
I think the one thing Coach emphasized that wasn't talked about tonight was he always said, regardless of what you do, be the best teammate you can possibly be. So we learned how to be responsible to each other. The guy to my left, I didn't have to worry about him. I knew he would take care of his job, so all I had to do was mine. And it was just a philosophy of just be the best teammate you can be. If that meant helping some guy with his equipment or homework or a ride or whatever, just be a good teammate.
Yeah.
And that kind of, as you can see tonight, that's kind of carried forward. So a lot of these guys are still being good teammates.
particular plays or moments stick out in your memory?
Well, like I said, I can't even hardly remember what position I was playing back in those days, but that last game I was playing Monster Man, and well, we'd look at the offense, how they were strong or weak side, and then Monster Man would go right or left.
Yeah.
And I was so nervous that game that I'd go right and call it left. Trying to think, I intercepted the pass one time. I think it was that game. I was out there.
Which game was that?
That last game we played against Cape Central.
Oh, yeah.
I was out there in the flat, and he just threw it right to me and stuck it in my belly. I didn't have hardly any choice. I was so surprised, I just fell down. I didn't even try to run.
Is that right?
I think our crown achievement was we beat Cape Girardeau. You know, in my senior year. I graduated in '64, so most of them here were on the '63 and '64 team. But for me, that was the big thing. And we managed to win a few games that year. We won 7 out of 10 games. But then the next team that come after me, they won 9 in a row. So that was pretty special.
I remember on a kickoff, we was up in Potosi, and it was the first kickoff of the game, and I had an eyeball on the ball carrier, and I hit him so hard he did a flip in the air. When we played Valley, I had a block. Nick Weiner, he weighed 240 pounds to my 180, and that week I was lineman of the week, in offensive lineman of the week. And I made offensive lineman of the year my senior year.
I was telling Coach Smith a while ago, we talked about the fact that our timing was so good for our handoffs, you know, and there was several plays throughout the 2 years that Coach Smith was here that I would hand the ball off and I'd fake out around the side and I'd maybe get tackled and they'd blow the whistle and the ball was in here and Roy was getting away. Vice versa. There's times that I kept the ball and Roy was going in there, our fullback, and he'd blow the whistle and I'd be out there, you know, still going. You know, it's things like that. I remember one time it was our junior year and we were playing Poplar Bluff and we were out of timeouts. It was 7-6, I think. It was a close game. We were driving down. We were running out of time. And I went over to the bench, and Coach Smith, our last time out, and he said, John, if we don't get a first down, if we don't stop the clock here and get out of bounds, tell Harvey Schamberg to fake an injury. So I went back out and got it. I told him, I said, if we don't get it to stop the clock, get out of bounds. I said, Harvey, you need to fake an injury. So went out and ran our play. Well, sure enough, we did stop the clock. Well, Harvey faked the injury, did a great job. We were out there in the huddle talking about he might get an Academy Award for that, you know. So anyway, that's a couple things. Coach Smith may not want to say that he told me to do that. I'll just say I did, you know.
Well, the time I played it, my knee was hurt laying on the ground.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Well, all we did is a timeout and we didn't have none left. And Coach Smith told me to get down on the ground and make out my knee was out, and I did that.
They said you deserve an Academy Award for that.
There you go. That'd be good.
Oh, we kind of laugh about the pink helmet deal.
Oh, yeah.
Coach Smith had came up with. That was for the people that miss practice, and when you're an old farm boy and stuff like that, you're not. But you know, there was a few people who wore that pink helmet before I had my picture taken with it. But as soon as I got to wear it, they made sure the cameras were out there. So I always laughed and said, you know, that wasn't quite fair that I had to wear that to have pictures. But that was me. Dad was a lot of fun back there. Coach Smith was. Yeah.
I don't know. I had the pleasure of calling the defensive plays, and I just loved the blitz. I never did tell the coach this. I may later. Of course, he probably figured it out. You're only supposed to blitz at certain times. Well, blitz on first down. I just loved it. And I guess it kept everybody confused because we'd catch them in the backfield. So. And we weren't big, but we were fast, so I think that was a lot of it.
I'll tell you, the game with Sikeston that we won 6-0. It was the hardest game I've ever been in. I mean, it was then, and I think it was a turning point for us because they was ranked #1, and it was like the first or second game of the year, and we beat them, and then it was, we can do this.
That's right.
And I really do think that was a big turning point. Anyway, that was the start, I think, and after that, we just never lost.
I guess I spent my entire senior year, I had a helmet that was fit really low on my forehead, and then since I was nose man, we were doing 4-point positions at that time. All I could see was from their waist down my entire senior year. We used to do isometric exercises. We had bars that fit in slots, and we would just do resistance against those, for a certain period of time. And, I think that really helped our strength and, give us that edge, made us, our whole body strengthen. And I was talking to a friend of mine that went to a school, a neighboring school, and he used to come and watch our games. And he made the comment that when our linemen fired out, you could see the whole line move about 3 feet. I mean, we did so much work on the sled, and hitting that thing every day. We complained and complained about it. Apparently, it did a job. I remember Nick Weiner was probably a 240-pound lineman, for St. Jenner Valley, and which we played, and I was worried to death about how that was going to work out. But we were always taught, as long as you stay down low, and you get their body up above you, you're going to move them somewhere. So that's what we did.
Well, the Jackson game. We played Jackson the week before the Cape game, and about the first couple plays, I got my knee hit. And it hurt, but it wasn't bad. I didn't think it was that bad. So they let me keep playing. I played the 3 quarters. Mm-hmm. Well, at half, when we were sitting in there in the dressing room, it tightened up on me because it was really hurting. But I wasn't going to say anything. So anyway, he realized, I guess, after the 3rd quarter that I just couldn't run anymore. Mm-hmm. And so I got put out, for it, and I couldn't walk for a couple of days on the weekend, and we got in the whirlpool, got it limbered up, and I missed practice all week. And Coach King, for the game, wrapped my knee up really tight, and it felt pretty good. I wish I could have played. I wouldn't been 100%, but I would have gave it a good try. But it was kind of an unfortunate thing. I didn't get to play. John Trapp, was a fantastic quarterback, and he ran things like he could fake the ball in to me, and he'd hand it to me or not, depending on the play, and that would fool the defense. We had several times I got tackled without the ball, and boy, those guys get mad. They curse, they say I didn't have the ball. And there goes John,
I hear the refs.
In fact, the referees fooled the referees a few times. Yeah, he was good. He was an outstanding player. He not only was the best at quarterback, but he was the best defensive back too. From Southern Missouri. I do remember the Jackson game, my junior year. I believe it was the day that Kennedy was assassinated, and we went ahead and played that night, and it had rained like a week or so, and there was water standing on the field at Jackson, and after a couple of plays, you couldn't tell one player from another. Everybody looked the same, and even in the film, because we were watching the film of it, and I did a great play. And I never got credit for it because no one knew who did it. It was on defense. We had punted. They punted to us. And my job was to hit and then pull off to the side to make a wall for Ronnie Yeager, who caught it, to come down the line there. I turned around and there was a big old Van hit for Jackson, a great big bruiser. And I threw a cross body block on him. And of course, Ronnie was able to go on and, score. And in the film, it looked good. Like when it hit, it looked like it took out 2 or 3 guys at the same time. But no one knew who did it. And of course, everybody says, "Oh, it was me! It was me!" And I didn't say anything because I knew we just enjoyed playing football. And for Coach Smith, he was. I looked up to him. I grew to really think a lot of him. And like I say at the beginning, I was worried. Oh no, what kind of coach is he going to be? And would I get to play? And so it worked out real well.
I was the smallest one in the class. I weighed 95 pounds my sophomore year. They picked on me a lot. I was kind of being that small. They picked on me pretty hard. They still do.
What made Bob Smith's coaching so effective?
He was just, I guess what you say, a progressive thinker. He could get stuff out of people that didn't know they had.
Well, I think he set good examples for us.
Yeah.
Play hard, win. Had a sense of fair play.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone in our team was an actual big star. But I guess the synergy thing they talk about.
Yeah.
A group of people get together with the same goal, they can accomplish some pretty big things.
I don't know. He just seemed like he knew what he was doing all the time. Sometimes we questioned it.
I always admired Coach Smith because he was always detail oriented. Everything was what we needed to know and what we needed to do. Whether it was scouting reports or if you didn't run a play right, you did it and you did it and you did it to get it right. And it was no different in basketball. His coaching ability to get the most out of you and to make you better, I think, is the biggest part that I know of. And his demeanor was always even. He was always positive. And if you did something wrong, he was a teacher first.
Well, I think he's fair, but he's tough. He kept us in line.
You got to have a little bit of style. You don't push your players over the edge and stuff. Be firm and stuff with him. He always come up with something that seemed to boost us up. I always remember Cape Central game that they're going to show here and stuff like that. I remember the locker room with everybody's name up there, get ready to beat Cape. It was quite an evening, and we pulled it off. Yeah. And I don't think we beat Cape since then.
Well, he, I guess I'd have to say, he really knows his game, or knew his game, and I'm sure he still does.
I promise you he does.
I mean, if he's watching on TV and picking things out.
Oh, yeah.
And it's funny, I am too. I keep looking at professional football players. I'm looking like, they got to be the lousiest tackles in the world.
Yeah,
they can tackle anybody, slap at them. I thought Coach Smith wouldn't do that. You'd be practicing. So,
exactly.
but yeah, he was good. Very good.
Well, I can't really pinpoint anything. It's just that everybody worked with him, together with him, and that he knew what he was doing. Plus the other coaches, Coach King was a big influence.
Because I think he gave us a challenge. It wasn't just going out there, doing the day-to-day things that other teams were doing. I mean, he really challenged our team. I mean, we were doing some plays that I thought was very innovative for that period of time. And like I said, it gave you something to work for. You know, and it's always great to get your coaches to pat you on the back and tell you did a good job. You know, that's always, you know, makes you go back and do it the next day.
And he was really good at getting everybody together. And,
Oh, yeah.
And you know, you call it motivating people to do their job. And, in fact, I was my fresh junior year, first and junior year, I was disappointed that he was going to be the coach. And the reason I was disappointed is because my sophomore year, was coached by Don Dyer. And I was just a little bitty 140-pound skinny little guy. And Coach Dyer let me play a lot. And I got to trade up with the fullback, Bob Weber, run plays back and forth. And he let me switch up a little bit on defense, monster man defense. So when I found out that Don Dyer wasn't going to be there anymore, I thought, oh no, you know. I was very disappointed. I thought, well, yeah, I'm just a 150-pound little skinny guy now, and I probably won't even get to play, you know, now, because Coach Dyer let me play, you know. So I was very disappointed. And, of course, after the season started, then I realized how great it was, how he earned my respect. And I think he did an excellent job. Just fantastic. And so he did let me play. So I was very happy.
My shoulder dislocated regularly and very uncomfortable, and I can remember my parents calling Coach Smith to come to my house in the middle of the morning to help put it back into place because he had the ability to calm me down, I suppose. And so it's you know, we have that special bond there.
It taught me some discipline, which we all needed back then. Probably some of us still need a lot of it. But yeah, a lot of values about working hard and knowing that you've always got a little more you can give, even when you think you've given it your last drop. There's always another drop of blood in that turnip if you just squeeze it hard enough. And that's what Coach taught us, and that's what he was about. And the thing of it was, he was tough, but he always had a smile on his face. We didn't know whether it was because he loved us or whether he was making fun of us, but or whether he just enjoyed watching us suffer. But no, he had such a forceful way of getting things done in such a mild-mannered way, and you knew in the bottom of your heart at the day's end, you knew he cared about you. I've been fortunate. I've been doing high school football on the radio for 30 years. I've been around a lot of coaches, a lot of teams, a lot of players. I don't sense that much at all anymore, where there's a relationship or a bond between players and coaches outside of football. I mean, he genuinely cared about what we did in the classroom. He genuinely cared about making sure that everybody got to church on Sunday. Values, you just don't see those today. And that's unfortunate.
Did that make an impact in your life to be on that team?
If it hadn't been for football, I probably would have quit high school.
Is that right?
Yeah. I love that game.
Learn how to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
You know, life's tough out there. It's a lot of work. And I said, back then, drugs wasn't hardly heard of like it is now. That's one thing. You might have heard a little bit of when we were seniors. I don't know if you're going to hear that, but that's what it is.
Yeah, that's all right. Let me see, Russell.
I think it makes you know that you can reach back. There's always something there. You know, you run that sprint and you think you can't run another one, or you hit and you think you can't hit anymore. You can do it, And I think that's the thing that no matter what I'm doing, I think that makes me look back at that they inspired that, they pushed you to be the best you can be, and find a little bit extra if you have to.
Just a little story. I was in the Marine Corps. I went to work for Bell Telephone. Just the day I graduated, I worked for Bell Telephone. Then I was getting drafted, so I said, well, I'm going to the Marine Corps. But my brother was already in the Marine Corps. Matter of fact, he was over in Vietnam already. And he said, the only thing you need is just remember football practice, except it's all day long. I said, I can do that. So yeah, that's, things like that. You just remember that how hard you had to work to play, and it wasn't any different. We already did it. We did it in Fairville High School football team.
You got your discipline, the teamwork. I spent 4 years in the Marine Corps after that.
Did you?
And if you're not on a team in the Marine Corps, you ain't going very far on that, and it was good. And I followed that all through my life. Worked for the government, supervisor, and you get a lot more done if you're all working as a team.
Anything you want to say to Coach?
No, I didn't. Like I told Coach Smith, I was pretty upset when I found out he was leaving.
Yeah.
I was really looking forward to playing my senior year for him.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
But I forgive him.
Yeah, I want to thank him for all the fun we had and enjoyed the years playing for him. And I think he did an outstanding job with the kids that he had to work with.
Well, he's looking good.
Yeah.
Appreciate him seeing him again.
Good luck. Good luck. I tell you what, it's been so great seeing you and your family, and the best of luck for you. Godspeed.
Well, the only thing I can say is glad to see him again.
Yeah.
Been 51 years. So.
50? Wow.
So I was really glad when Jim Johnson called and left me a message that he was going to be here. So I said, yeah, I think I can do that.
Yeah.
So
Beautiful.
that's great.
Well, appreciate him taking us through those 2 years and having a good time. Winning is fun. Winning is always fun.
I just want to tell him how much we did appreciate, the effort that the coaches did make in those days. I'm certain our team would not have the success that they did had it not been for the work that the coaches put in.
Yeah.
And, we might have complained about the everyday practice that we did, but, in the long run, it sure was fun.
Outstanding.
Thank you very much, Coach.
Well, I just want to thank him for the great job he did and to give us all these good memories that we all like to cherish. In fact, our homecoming today is coming up Saturday, but we made a float, and it was cherish these memories, and so that's goes right along with it.